Welcome to Disruptive Capitalists, the show where purpose-driven entrepreneurs and bold investors share how they're reshaping the world by investing time and money in a way that improves lives and creates wealth. So let's get to it. Hello, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for another great episode of The Disruptive Capitalist, where we talk about disrupting the status quo and using capitalism for good. And so today, my guest is Jeff Peterson. Jeff Peterson is a seasoned entrepreneur and real estate investor based in North Carolina. You've also ran a lot of races, Ironmans, marathons, all kinds of other things. And just, it's good to see somebody like yourself as you're getting older, still in the game, still living it and pushing yourself to accomplish more. So Jeff, thank you so much for joining the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Sam. I appreciate it so much. When I was first made aware of your podcast, I looked at your name and I was like, is this like a stage name, or whatever? But then I looked into it and I was like, wow, this really is his name. I thought that was interesting. And I know you said a seasoned entrepreneur and real estate person, which just is a code word for very old. You've been around the block a few times, right?
Oh, that's great. That's, all the new guys think they know everything, and it's not till later on that it's like, there was a way better way to do that. Should have listened to the older guys who've been around who told me not to do it that way. So hats off to people who've been in the game for a long time. And yeah. Well, I don't know. You guys should be the mentors and coaches out there, not the 20-somethings who run the big coaching program.
If you're like me, you probably knew a lot more when you're younger. Like I knew it all when I was young. I mean, I just, if you asked me anything, I could tell you. It's kind of like people that are experts on raising kids. The only ones that are experts are those that don't have children. But if you have children, you know that you just don't know it. So it's the same thing in real estate and business. As you move along further and further, you find out just exactly how much you don't really know. And if I could change one thing in my career, it would be to get mentors much, much earlier, which I never really did. But that would have been, it would just saved me a whole lot of time and money.
That's been my biggest lesson learned as well is getting that mentor early on would have helped me avoid, because after I made some mistakes, I brought those to mentors, not telling them what I had done, only that I was pondering this thing.
Right.
And they're like, oh, no, don't do that. That's terrible because of XYZ and you'll lose a bunch of money. And then I remember one time he just looked at me and said, Sam, you already did this, didn't you? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry. You're going to lose a lot of money on this. And I did. So, yeah.
Well, you don't want to learn every lesson the hard way. It just seems like the best learned ones sometimes are the hard way.
Yeah. You're an entrepreneur because you believe you can solve a problem in the world that others have not. And so you're stubborn and you're taking risk, and, getting a mentor the earlier you can get a mentor, a seasoned mentor who's been around, not a 23-year-old mentor who is running.
Well, there are a lot of experts on the internet right now that are, of course, are seasoned at 23 and 24 years old, and they just seem to have it all figured out. But I don't think you really scratched the surface. I think if you scratch the surface, there wouldn't be nearly as what you would think was there.
Yeah. Yeah. They'd be doing the work instead of teaching.
Talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So we already chased a squirrel, which is just fine. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. Like, what is it you're doing now, and how is that different than what you've done in the past?
I've listened to some of your stuff, which I'm greatly impressed with some of your guests and also with your accomplishments. And I look to myself and I'm like, I am a little bit different. Most of my stuff is small business related, very small. When I say small, I mean, shoestring and early on, that kind of thing, not scaling, not doing all those code words that I don't think I ever heard of scaling till like maybe 2 years ago. It's like, and now it's it's like thinking outside the box was 10 years ago. Now it's all
Yeah.
scaling. So
Yeah.
I didn't really hear that term, but of course, you know what it means instantly.
Yeah.
But myself, I started off in small business, I opened a reupholstery shop in the front bedroom of a two-bedroom house that I was renting on my 21st birthday. So that's how I started. And I mean, when I say I was broke, I wasn't broke. I mean, I was more than broke. I mean, there was nothing. I can remember um, not having business and trying to scrounge up business as a 21-year-old, trying to convince people that I knew how to upholster and could figure it out. And going around trying to do that. And finally, I needed to put an ad in the newspaper. Back then, you put ads in the newspaper, right? In the classifieds.
Yeah.
It was going to be a
Yeah.
ad that I was going to put in there. And it was either at that time, I had the decision whether to put an ad in the paper or pay my electric bill. And I couldn't do both. So I was like,
Yeah.
well, if I put an ad in the paper and it works, then I can pay the electric bill. But if I pay the electric bill, I'm done in a month. I'm just
Yep.
done. I'm back. So, and I didn't have a plan B. There was nobody to fall back on. So I was straight on my own. But I did that and it worked. And the rest, I wouldn't say the rest is history, but that's how it started in
Yeah.
doing reupholstery and then starting to get into real estate. Yeah,
I love that dilemma because that's the entrepreneur's dilemma.
that's
And you can
right.
tell real quick if you're an entrepreneur or not based off of what you would do.
You
I
know,
would I'd spend the money on the ad every time.
Yep, that's so true. Back at 21, it didn't seem, people say, "Oh, you were so brave to do that." I said, "Well, not really. I had nothing to lose." But as you get older and you're making those same decisions, it's funny, but you make that same decision every time. It's much bigger scale. There's much more to risk. But even though now you're risking, serious assets that you own and putting it all on the line, you'll still make, as an entrepreneur, you're still going to make that same decision every time.
Every time because
Yeah,
it, it's seeing a future possibility.
that's right.
And most people just can't see future, or a lot of people just can't see future possibilities. They can only see the here, right and now. And this is the way it is. And I can only see, 2 minutes into the future,
Right.
5 minutes into the future. They can't see 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5, 10 years into the future. Um, and that's why, entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs. They see something in the future and then they go and start to create it,
Right.
understanding that today a decision has to get made so that I can get something tomorrow and then the next day, and then eventually XYZ. So I love that dilemma. I uh, often, you know, ask other people like, what should we do? This or this? And I'm like, I'm this because it creates more. Most people will say, well, we should do this because it's got to get done today. I'm like, well, first off, does it have to? Do you really have to
Right.
pay that today? And then second off, if we do, we cannot become who we need to become.
That's true. I'll tell you. So you asked what I want to talk about, and a little bit. So my biggest success, if I go on my biggest success, it would not be that I just did this big, huge, um, multi-unit mixed-use development that's just finishing up. Took me 15 years to do it. Just
Wow.
now finishing up, but that was one of those that really had to step on the line for somebody like me. But that is not my biggest success. Mine, I would guess, is more bringing my children into the business.
Hmm.
So we have several businesses, and like I said, it's small business. I mean, on a scale, it's small, but all of them have become involved in different areas of the businesses. And it's not that I forced them or necessarily wanted them to come in. It just kind of naturally evolved that way. So in different parts of the business, like we do short-term rental business, which is like Airbnb and Vrbo and stuff. We do a lot of that at the beach. One of my sons runs that, or actually two of them kind of run that. And then I'm partners on a restaurant with another one, and we have a building company, and then we have a consignment store and still the upholstery shop. We still have that. And my other son and daughter runs that in Cary. So that's probably my biggest takeaway. And the reason why I was writing my book is to kind of say, because they're always going like, well, how did you get started? How did all this start? And I say, well, it didn't start. It started with nothing. And this out. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll go back and look at those stories. And I'm like, did that really happen that way, or am I just, recreating it? And then I'll go back. No, it actually kind of that's the way it went. So
Yeah.
I do like having my children involved now with me. So It's very good.
That's fantastic. There is nature and nurture. My oldest has no interest in real estate or business or anything. So she joined the army, and I'm like, I'm an Air Force guy. Why would you join the army? But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah. I
that
can
was
see
her
that.
choice, right?
Well, with mine, I think you've hit a good run is when one of the kids will ask you something, and I was like, not it's not what they ask you. Well, it's not the answer; it's that they're asking the right questions.
Yeah,
I was like, yes, you finally got it. That's what I want. I want those questions, those kind of hard questions, the ones that show they've been thinking about it more than just 2 minutes.
yeah.
So that really makes you feel good.
So you just wrote a book. Tell us about the book.
Well, it's called Are We There Yet? And it's a guide to conquering every twist and turn on the journey to success. So basically, it's kind of a memoir, and it talks about the different starts talking about starting out in business and even as a child, starting out doing different things, and then eventually it segues into involving the children in the different businesses. But we do a lot of real estate, so I'm still in the real estate heavily. That's the big thing, right? So the businesses are a ways to generate income to grow the real estate. But the real thing is the real estate, obviously. And even in the businesses, every one we have, we control the real estate. So I don't do anything unless I control the real estate. And sometimes it's probably not the best way to do it, but that's just a what do you call it, a thing that I do. But I wrote the book, and it was more of a how to. Some of it's a how to. How do you go to the bank and borrow money starting out as a small business person? How do you even get started? And it's not necessarily for the seasoned investor. I think there are much better books and people that know maybe a little bit more than I do on doing that. But as far as starting out in business, I think it's a great motivator for people, and some of it shows a clear path on what to do. You know, a friend of mine, and this might be in the book, I can't remember, but a friend of mine came to me a few years back, and he said he was a GM at a major retailer, and he said, I don't want to do this anymore. I said, what are you talking about? You're making killer money. I said, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
He goes, I want to do a food truck. I said, you're kidding, right? You want to do a food truck? He goes, yes, I want to do a food truck. And I'm like, okay, how, tell me what you're going to do. And so he starts
yeah,
telling me about this, and I'm like, okay, I didn't think it was a great idea, but I do get passion, and I get being fed up with the corporate world. So
yeah.
but he's in his 40s. So I said, well,
Yep,
here's what you do. I said, first thing you do is I want you to go to the bank and borrow every dollar you can. I want you to get all the credit cards you can, tap them all out. Get every single dollar you can lay your hand on right now. If you want to refinance your house, you want to do anything, do it now. I said, because once you open up that food truck and quit that 9 to 5, you're done. You're going to be
yep,
done for at least 2 years, but that's 2 successful years. It may take you 2 years to get successful. So now you're going to be done. You're going to be dead for 4 years or 5 years
yep.
if you're trying to do it on your own. If you're shoestring it, that's that's the best thing I can tell you to do. Just borrow everything you can, so you have the borrowing power. And later on, he did come back to me. He said, "You know what?" He goes, "I talked to everybody about opening a business." He goes, "And you're the only one that told me that." He goes, "That was the best advice I had."
It's fantastic advice, and it's true. I've
Yeah.
been through this process myself. Is once you get into the new business and it's not cash flowing very well yet, you're not getting any credit.
No,
In fact, you can start losing credit.
that's right.
Uh,
That's right. But that's what I mean by in the book. There's a lot more of down and dirty kind of
yeah,
nitty gritty. If you're just starting out, if you've never been an entrepreneur, or if you're struggling as a beginning entrepreneur, some of that I think helps a lot of people.
so what are you? Tell me about your races. Why do you race? Are you still
Yeah.
racing?
Yeah. Well, it's just dumb, I guess. Actually, it kind of, I guess it was more stress, I think, from business, right? So I started running to just kind of, unwind, and I found I really liked it. And what I really liked to do was race. That's what I love.
Yeah.
I love
Huh.
to race. And this is as an older person. I mean, I didn't do this when I was 25 or 30. I'm doing this, at 50, so I mean, now I've
Wow.
been racing for a while because I'm older than 50 now, but yeah, that just really just invigorated me. But there's a lot of analogies between being a sole proprietor, being an entrepreneur, being a business person, and competing, in races, especially long distance race. I mean, there
Yeah.
are so many analogies. You're doing a marathon and you're at mile 22 and you feel like you're going to die, and and every fiber in your body says, just step off to the side. Nobody's going to know the difference. Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to care,
Yeah.
and you stick to it. And it's just one of those things that if you stick to that kind of stuff in business, you'll stick it out in those kind of races as well. And I'm not talking about major, talent, no major talent. I'm
Yeah.
just talking about, everyday man, the everyman kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I always enjoyed it. So I did Boston Marathon 8 times. I've probably done 50 marathons. I've done Ironman and Spartan races, which I love doing those. But it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, a lot of camaraderie too.
I like the Spartan races or Tough Mudder, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's a little more fun,
Yes.
but
Spartans are a lot of fun. I like those.
I just can't on the pavement for such a long time. Get
No,
bored.
I love finishing a race. I don't like being in the middle of the race. I think every race I've ever entered, I get 200 yards into it, and I'm like, what have I got myself into? This is the stupidest thing I've ever done. And then you
Yeah.
just keep going, so.
Yeah. Have you ever considered adventure racing?
I have. I've thought about doing that, like doing it as a couple, right? That'd be
Yeah.
really cool doing that. I
Yeah,
think
we've
it'd
done
be very interesting. Have you done it?
yeah, we've done a few of them. 24 hours, 30 hours, 48 hours.
I've
Um,
done ultras that were 200. Well, actually, I paced my brother on a 200-mile ultra.
yeah.
Um, I only ran like 60 some miles of it, but yeah, I was just pacing. But still,
Yeah.
that's just a odyssey. That's what it is. It's a pure
Yeah.
odyssey.
Yeah, and the ones we've done had, you had to find your way through the woods. You had to hit
Yeah, see,
certain benchmark,
orienteering and all that kind of stuff. See, I think that
orienteering,
would be that would
kayaking,
be extremely
biking.
fun.
Yeah, that
Love
was
to do that.
fun.
Yeah.
Um, and then if you get lost and you're like, well, we're not going to win, so let's just go take a nap for a little bit and we'll get back to what
Yeah.
we're doing.
I've done a lot of trail races. Not and the longest I've done is 40 miles, but I can almost say that every trail race I've ever run in, at some point in time, you take a wrong turn, and you're
Yeah.
like, where am I? What? And they always start off going like, well, it's clearly marked, and I'm like,
No, it's
yeah,
not.
if you're looking up in a tree, but you're looking down to keep from breaking your neck, so I missed that sign.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everyone jokes about that, but it happens all the time.
Yeah. It happens all the time. And those races we're not allowed to take, like phones or GPS coordinates and stuff
No.
or GPS guides or anything. So yeah, you're just all mapping and compass.
That would be very well. As a former Boy Scout, I was an Eagle Scout as well.
Yeah.
I love doing that kind of stuff. But I can see
Same.
now where you'd also have to lose the smartphone too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, wait a minute, how do I live without a phone?
Yeah,
This is
yeah, exactly, exactly.
so what are you working on now?
Well, right now, it's funny. I think I'm busier than I've ever been.
Really?
Yeah, extremely. It just like it's almost like I feel like I'm in fire doing what we're doing. So we started. I was working on this project, the big project, which is called Peterson Station in Holly Springs, been 15 years or so. Well, COVID hits, and I was at the point where I couldn't quite swing getting that project off the ground. It was so close, but it couldn't quite get over the hump, right up
Yeah.
to the financing. It's amazing what happens when you add a decimal or a zero to your financing request. It just changes the whole thing. And I remember
Yeah.
telling the bankers, I say, look, it's just a decimal. The math is the exact same. It works the exact
Yeah.
same. Well, they don't buy that. But anyway, I had a lot of cash and I'm bored because I'm kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for this whole thing to come to fruition.
Yeah.
And we started at the beach, and I have a beach house, and so we decided to renovate or buy a restaurant building, and then apartments behind it, and started renovating all that. So we got into that, and from there we started doing more and more. So not new builds, although we are doing some new building now. But the way it started was renovating these seriously dilapidated projects down here and turning them into short-term rentals, Airbnb kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And every one of them have been a phenomenal win for us. I mean, a few years ago, the town actually came to me and said, "Hey, look, we saw what you did here, here, and here. Would love if you could get this property over here. Can you please talk to this owner? It's an eyesore." So it took me 6 months, 8 months, and I finally got it. Um, and that's one of our next projects coming up. But so we're doing a lot down at the beach. The beach, it's we're getting ready to start a 60-unit apartment building.
Oh,
We're
nice.
building a 10-bedroom oceanfront house. That's new build. Um, I say a lot. I'm supposed to stop doing that, but there's a couple other projects that we're getting ready to start. We have some commercial down here, so we're building another commercial building. And
Oh, great.
the funnest thing I'm doing though is we have a salon in a shopping center that I have in Eastern North Carolina, and I'm getting ready to start. Well, we're going to do another one at the Peterson station, but we're going to do one down here, and then we'll probably franchise that, and that's going to be exciting. So that's been another big win, and I do that with my children as well.
That's amazing. It sounds like you're doing just a lot of really cool stuff and tearing down or gutting really old, dilapidated stuff and bringing it into the new society, making it clean, safe, rentable, usable. It's fantastic. Like we need more and more people to do that. There's so much ugly old inventory out there.
I think we did build a lot of goodwill with the town, doing the renovations more than we're doing. We're doing some new construction, like I said, but the renovations are what really excites them. We took an old motel,
Yeah.
and that was one when you're working on it. In the last four projects we've worked on like this, the town, I mean, the contractors that are coming in there that we're having work for us, I mean, all of them were going like, "Well, I don't know why you just didn't tear it down. It doesn't even make any sense." I'm like, "Yeah, just how much to do this? Just stop."
Yeah. Yeah.
But while you're working on it, especially a couple of them, while I'm working on, I'm like, "Man, I think I'm putting a. I hope I'm not just putting a ribbon on a. I don't want to say it, but
Yeah.
a mess." So
Yeah. Yeah. Which
um,
is a concern. And
it
what,
is. It's a big concern, but these all worked out very well, and
yeah.
it's nice to be where we are. We're at Topsail or Surf City, North Carolina, and there's
Mm,
just so much demand for property and people to come down and stay. So we've done a lot of smaller ones too, like just studio apartments, and
oh,
those are
yeah.
nice for somebody, they can't afford to stay a week, or they may not have that time, but coming down for 2 or 3 nights and a place that's really, really nice makes a big difference.
Well, Jeff, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, and uh, would love to see some more of your work down there on the beach, cleaning stuff up, making it, beautiful places, replacing the plumbing and the electric, all that stuff just makes places healthier and safer, roofs and all this stuff and things that you are undoubtedly doing. And congrats on getting your kids or being able to capture your kids' attention into the business and teaching them how to create wealth, which the system does not teach. So if they don't have access, people who don't have access to a dad or somebody to mentor them and teach them, they never get in, or they're
That's true.
very
That's
very
true.
very rare to get in. So for those folks that want to reach out to you and get to learn more about you or buy your book, how could they do that?
Well, there's several ways actually. But Sam, I was going to tell you. So if you really want to come see what we're doing, you can just jump on our website, Turtle Shell. I think it's turtleshellrentals.com, and come down here and spend some time with us. That'd be great. But
That, yeah.
anyway, they can check the website, which we have petersonsproperties.com, and I think it'll probably be in your show notes, right?
Yep.
And then also my email, jmp521 at AOL.com. I know I'm the last of the AOLs, but
I was going to say,
it's a diehard, diehard. Yeah, I also have a Gmail, but I can never remember what that one is. Of course, I'm on Instagram and Facebook, the social and LinkedIn. It's pretty easy to find me on those as well.
no, that's great. I'll make sure those websites are and access points are in the show notes. Also, I'll try and make sure we include a link to your book on Amazon, which has great ratings so far, which is awesome. And I think for a limited time, it's only 99 cents on Kindle.
Yes.
If somebody wants to read it that way. But again, a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much, Jeff. And best of luck to you. Thanks.
I appreciate it. I enjoyed speaking with you as well.
If this episode shifted your thinking, then share it with someone bold. And remember, capital is a tool. Use it to build a world you are proud to live